Square foot plant not far from USC, UCLA, and other biotech facilities, hoping to inject new blood into a lucrative market.
And with this ribbon cutting, we're not just opening the doors of a lab, we're opening the doors to the future. This isn't just a ribbon cutting for a new biotech facility. This is a ribbon cutting for the future of Los Angeles.
Today is a great day for Grifols, but also for Los Angeles and Barcelona.
LA Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa says the plant is expected to support over 300 well-paying jobs, providing a shot in the arm to LA's economy. In Lincoln Heights, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Grifols invested $135 million to build the facility. The mayor's office assisted the company with moving through the permitting process. Well, it's a first for the city of Los Angeles and actually for the nation. There is now a plaza named in honor of a Central American hero that gives recognition to the contributions Central Americans have made to our city. The ribbon has been cut on the new Plaza Morazan, short for Plaza Centroamericana Francisco Morazan, the nation's first Central American plaza. The plaza, located at the intersection of West 8th and Valencia Streets, recognizes the more than 500,000 Central Americans living in Los Angeles.
It is one more effort to celebrate the metropolitan, international feel of this great city and all the contributions of the Central American.
The plaza, which features a pocket park with benches and trees, is named in honor of Francisco Morazan, the first Central American president and visionary who fought to unify Central America during turbulent times after its independence from Spain. His bust is a focal point of the plaza.
Francisco Morazan probably is one of the leaders in the history of Central America, most important. He born in Honduras, and he always fight for the Central American Union. He died for that.
Los Angeles is home to the largest population of Central American immigrants outside of Central America. This plaza, Councilman Ed Reyes says, honors their culture and history.
It is now a place where our children can see the heroes of our motherlands. It's no longer just George Washington. It's no longer just Abraham Lincoln. It's also Francisco Morazan, it's Simon Bolivar, it's Emiliano Zapata, it's everyone that played a role in making our country great, our culture beautiful, but more importantly, pride in our families, pride in our parents, because of the hard work they have endured to make sure we have a great future in this great country.
A diverse population from all corners of Central America who call Los Angeles home now have a place that honors their motherland that's right in their backyards. The construction of the plaza is a joint effort of Councilmember Ed Reyes, the city's Department of Recreation and Parks, the Community Redevelopment Agency, and community groups. More progress is made on the 405 construction project. Councilman Reyes helps unveil a new traffic signal at a dangerous intersection, and the city celebrates the opening of yet another new park. These stories and more in City Beat. Another traffic lane has opened on the northbound 405 in West Los Angeles as part of a $1 billion plus improvement project that will add carpool access through the Sepulveda Pass. The 1.7-mile lane stretches between the Santa Monica Freeway and Santa Monica Boulevard and will eventually be converted into a carpool lane, but for the time being, it is open to all motorists. Metro officials said the lane will likely be stretched another 1.4 miles to Wilshire Boulevard next month.
What we are doing is building up that additional carpool lane for 10 miles, which will give you a carpool lane all the way from Orange County to I-405 at the north. So this will be the longest carpool lane pretty much in the country.
The project began in 2009 and was to be completed this year, but construction is now expected to continue through mid-2014. Councilmember Ed Reyes recently joined the Los Angeles Department of Transportation and LAPD officers at Eagle Rock Boulevard and Avenue 31 in Glassell Park to celebrate a new signal light at what used to be a busy and oftentimes dangerous intersection. The new traffic light was prompted by the high volume of pedestrian and car traffic traveling down Eagle Rock Boulevard, a main artery linking northeast LA to downtown LA. The Department of Recreation and Parks, along with Councilmember Richard Alarcon and the Los Angeles Neighborhood Land Trust, recently cut the ribbon on the 13th of 50 planned parks as part of the city's so-called 50 Parks initiative to build parks in park-poor neighborhoods. This 13th park, Fox and Laurel Park, is located at 14353 West Fox Street in San Fernando.
I've been seeing a lot of places like this open up around the communities, so I have options, either to go to one park or to the other. But it's great for the community. While
a quarter of the 50 parks are under an acre in size, they include environmental features like drought-tolerant plants and smart irrigation. The Department of Recreation and Parks, along with Councilmember Paul Koretz, recently honored the youngest woman ever elected at the age of 22 to the Los Angeles City Council by renaming the Palms Rec Center the Rosalind Wyman Rec Center. On July 1st, 2013, it will be exactly 60 years since Wyman's historic election to public office. Wyman, who was on hand for the renaming ceremony, was also instrumental in securing the financing for the acquisition and development of the rec center on Overland Avenue. Aside from building new parks, the city is also dedicated to refurbishing old parks. Anita Bennett takes us to the latest playground renovation done with the help of the LA Clippers.
These children are testing out the new basketball court at Lou Costello Recreation Center in Boyle Heights. And they're getting an assist from Blake Griffin of the LA Clippers, plus the team's dance squad. The Clippers Fit program, the California Endowment, and Kia Motors teamed up with the city of Los Angeles to refurbish the playground.
Last season, we began the program with the California Endowment to develop the Fit Campus program. We've now grown the program to incorporate additional community programs like you see here today with this wonderful park refurbishment.
City Councilman Jose Huizar thanked the Clippers, and he reminded the crowd without financial help from private companies, neighborhood projects like this wouldn't be possible.
Given the short amount of money that's coming from government these days, it's important to have the private sector's support and involvement.
We've built this, but we're depending on you to take care of the park, to use the park, and to leave it in great shape for the kids after you. So can you kids do that for us? Yes.
The kids clearly enjoyed the improvements, plus the chance to get up close with the Clippers and their dance team. I'm Anita Bennett for LA This Week.
The Clippers Fit program is in the process of refurbishing 2 more city playgrounds. Well, here's an easy question. Who doesn't like a good pancake breakfast? On a recent Saturday, all of the city's fire stations were opened to the public. Some hosted a pancake breakfast, others a barbecue lunch. The goal, to strengthen ties between residents and their firefighters. From east to west, north to south, all 106 of the city's fire stations opened their doors to neighbors for an annual open house billed as Fire Service Recognition Day.
We see the fire trucks go by on a regular basis, and every time they have an open house, we love to come. My son loves the firehouse. The gentlemen here are just amazing.
Each fire station's open house took on the unique flavors of its surrounding community. Fire Station 63 in Venice held a pancake breakfast and wowed residents with the old fire pole slide demo.
Every year we have a pancake breakfast to honor the firefighters who put themselves in harm's way.
This station in Westchester chose to hold a barbecue.
Today we're doing a little fundraiser. We're barbecuing. It's the Santa Maria barbecue, and proceeds are going to the West Texas Fire Department. They lost their firefighters there in the explosion in the fertilizer plant. The kids can also come through here and squirt some water, and we have a jump. We ran a jump for the day so the public can come here and jump in the back of the fire station.
The Westchester Fire Station also took the opportunity to educate residents on hands-on CPR.
You saved somebody's life.
That's right, Melanie.
You're good.
Over in Watts at Fire Station 65, they held a classic car show and provided musical and dance entertainment.
community comes out. Actually used to be a captain at Fire Station 65, old Fire Station 65, and just to see how far things have come and involving the community is a great thing.
Whether it was a community concert or a traditional pancake breakfast.
We get over 500 people for our annual pancake breakfast. What we do is we offer just an open house to the community, and we have an overwhelming response.
These open houses help strengthen the neighborly bond between residents and their firefighters. In this week's list of things to do, the city throws a big party and you don't want to miss it. A family festival at the Getty, and one neighborhood council invites you to get involved. It's the ultimate LA block party. The city of Los Angeles and Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa cordially invite you to celebrate LA on Friday, June 7th at downtown's Grand Park, which stretches from the steps of City Hall on Spring Street all the way to Grand Avenue between First and Temple. It takes place from 5 to 10 p.m. It's a free family-friendly festival complete with musical performances by Grammy-winning artists, many surprise guests, and a special appearance by President Bill Clinton. It's also a chance for the city to bid farewell to Mayor Villaraigosa and welcome Mayor-elect Eric Garcetti. Go to CelebrateLA2013.com for the event flyer. And on Saturday, June 8th, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., the J. Paul Getty Museum is holding the Getty Family Festival. The museum's family festivals offer a day of celebration and discovery inspired by exhibitions at the Getty Center. This festival on June 8th will celebrate the gardens of the Renaissance. You and your family can create a garden of your very own or fashion a floral wreath at one of the interactive workshops, or listen to tales of distant kingdoms with renowned storytellers. The Getty is located at 1200 Getty Center Drive. Go to getty.edu for details. The Westlake South Neighborhood Council is holding its first ever community outreach event on Sunday, June 9th from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. The all-day community party will be held at the Bandshell at MacArthur Park, located at 2230 West 6th Street. There will be music, family entertainment, food vendors, and informational booths. But mainly, the event is meant to encourage more residents to get involved in social and political solutions by participating in the neighborhood council. For more information on the outreach event, call Manuel Olmos at 626-419-1000. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do. It's an all-out effort to get kids to connect with Mother Nature. The annual Hike for Health event in LA teamed up with the National Get to Know program for a one-of-a-kind outdoor experience for some lucky middle school students. Anna Marcos takes a hike with the whole crew.
Robbie, the sanitation robot, is the first thing to greet students on this sunny day. About 300 fifth graders are joining in the 8th annual Hike for Health event at Griffith Park.
It's nice, like the little plants and the little animals. So you expect to see like rabbits and some other little creatures like lizards.
Councilmember Tom LaBonge and his office are kicking off the Hike for Health event with the Department of Recreation and Parks to give students a new appetite for nature and for staying fit through hiking.
Now they had their feet on it. They've climbed that mountain. That's an inspirational thing to do. And my hope is they would come back with their families, with their brothers and sisters to enjoy it.
They start at the Charlie Turner Trailhead near the Griffith Observatory, and they're hoofing it all the way up to the top of Mount Hollywood.
You get an entire 360 view of the city. You can see the valley. On a nice clear day, you can see out to Catalina Island.
At the top, more outdoor treats with a get-to-know program which introduces kids to the great outdoors. Some of the featured events include park ranger horses, a try at the park ranger fire hose, and one-on-one time with some of the Zoomobile's most cuddly creatures.
It got sort of cold up here, and I got to pet this, there's this baby python. It was super cute. It was awesome.
There's also a get-to-know contest where kids get to express their experiences in nature through art, writing, photography, video, and music.
Any child in Los Angeles, greater Los Angeles area, 19 and under, is welcome to enter. It's all about getting out into nature and then sharing what you did with us.
The deadline for the Get to Know contest is November 1st, but organizers remind potential nature lovers there is no deadline for enjoying the great outdoors. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The Get to Know National Program aims to bring more than 10 million kids across the country into the great outdoors this year. For more information, visit get-to-know.org. And that's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you could catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today.
G'day, Troy McCubbin from North Hollywood. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35, our city, our channel.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Tuesday, June 4th. Welcome to your Los Angeles City Council. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Members of the public are welcome. If you want to speak on an item, there are cards in the back that you fill out and then give it to our sergeant at arms here. If you just want to see how your government works, you're welcome. We do not have a quorum as of yet. It takes 10 members, but I do believe we can start our day if we, for now, defer to Council Member Perry for a presentation. So, Miss Perry, the floor is yours.
Tell all your family to come with you. All right. Come on, you guys. Up, up, up. Come on. He can't do this alone.
Yes.
Everybody. Everybody.
Thank you, David. Michael was supposed to be here.
We'll just roll.
Yeah.
It's okay. Are we missing anybody?
No.
Okay, is that everybody?
Yes.
Okay, come on. Today, I would like to thank a very dedicated public servant who has served the South Los Angeles communities for the last 25 years. His name is Faisal Roble, and he has been a senior city planner in the Office of Zoning Administration, where he oversaw the processing and determinations of environmental clearances, conditional use permits, variances, and other entitlement applications. He is not retiring. He is shifting gears at city planning and is now working on citywide policy development. He has been an enormous asset for South Los Angeles. He has worked on the development of over 20 new overlay zones and transit-oriented districts in the region. Prior to this assignment, he managed the Office of Policy Planning and oversaw the city's programs related to housing mobility, and the development of transit-oriented districts, as well as the completion of 3 new community plans for the South Los Angeles region. Among his projects that have impacted South Los Angeles, they have included the University of Southern California Specific Plan and the development agreement that generated approximately $45 million in public benefits and is expected to create an additional 12,000 net new jobs for the city of Los Angeles. Faisal has also managed the completion of the Jordan Downs Village Specific Plan, which would redesign the Jordan Downs community by creating 1,600 mixed-income units with new retail and neighborhood spaces, as well as a centrally located public park in the center of the development, becoming one of the largest redevelopment urban housing projects in the nation. I am especially proud of his contribution in developing the Fast Food General Plan Amendment, which establishes design guidelines and limits new standalone fast food restaurants in specific geographic areas in South Los Angeles. Faisal has been a key leader in the department's effort to bring equitable and sustainable development to South Los Angeles, an area of the city that has historically been underplanned and underinvestment. I wanted to take a moment to thank him for his long career as an outstanding urban planner and an outstanding public servant, and he's here with all of his colleagues from the department who support him.
Miss Perry, if I may interrupt, Mr. Reyes is on the queue, so I'd like to call on Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, when Councilman Perry speaks of the historic underinvestment, I actually quantified it at one time. Back in, I want to say 1996, 97, there were about 54 overlays that covered the areas that we would consider the West Side, Western Valley, and most of the beach towns, about 54. When you look in Central, South Central, and East, Northeast, At the most, we had 8. And of those 8, 3 were never finished. So we talk about how we, as a city, mistreated large portions of our great municipality. When you talk about the tale of 2 cities, nothing more dramatic to demonstrate that than the planning resources that we invested or did not invest. So I want to thank Councilor Perry because of her stewardship. Much of what was needed to address was addressed through our planning police powers. And thank you, Faisal. Thank you, staff, for stepping up. I know there's a shift in culture. There's a shift in attitude. We needed to place value in neighborhoods that were considered throwaway neighborhoods. And now we see opportunity. When you look at the great change in downtown LA, close to 50,000 new people in the past 8-10 years because of good planning. When you look at the reemergence of the TODs because of good planning, it's all due to your work. I'm hoping that the younger staff that's come in can learn from those who've been here, and those who have been here, they can shake off some of the old habits and stay more focused on what we can get done, so that way we can be opportunistic with the time that we have left. When the staff is cut almost by half, it does require creativity, technology, and I strongly believe without the stewardship of Councilman Perry, much of that energy would not be there. So I thank you, Faisal. Thank you, staff who supported Faisal, because he didn't do it alone. There's so many people around you that I know you're going to recognize. But again, as chair of Plum, it's been a blessing to know that we have such strong people who are working from the heart. Thank you so much.
Ms. Perry, back to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Council Lady Jan Perry and the rest of the body. I don't have any prepared statement except to say that the planning department has indeed one of the most educated, most qualified people, most of them from premier schools. We consider ourselves as significant asset to the city. Myself, as a transplanted African American, I love the city because of its diversity, and I do have a sense that it has become the home that many of us looked for many years. And I don't have anything except to say I'm very happy to be part of this family, and thank you very much.
So we're going to go in the back, and we're going to take a group photo, okay? So everybody gets their stuff. And we'll go in the back.
Thank you.
We'll do the presentation back there.
All right.
Great.
Hey, let's give him another round of applause. Members and to individuals that are in the gallery today, we do not have a quorum as of yet, but I expect it within the next couple of minutes. Mr. Labange made a trip on behalf of the city of Los Angeles. So, Mr. Labange, maybe you could give us a quick rundown.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And I thank you. I was going to do this at the end of the meeting, but I think it's appropriate at this point here. As you know, since the mid-'90s, I've been heading up the Sister City program for Los Angeles, and an opportunity existed to go as far away as Jakarta, Indonesia, which is the 4th largest country in the world, the economy. It's the largest Muslim country in the world. Met with the ambassador to the United States, who was a Californian, graduated from UC Davis, and one of his attaches in the embassy was a graduate of 1961 of Compton High School, and just in his foreign service, we're going to give him a special commendation. We're very proud of him. To learn about things, and Mr. Buscaino already had a chance to brief the Port of Jakarta and the challenges that they have and face, and to create a sister port, which is so key, and also working with the FAA and getting nonstop service from Jakarta, Indonesia to LAX, Los Angeles International Airport, was key and very important. Both in Thailand, a brand new airport in Thailand, brand new airport in Seoul, as we stopped in Seoul, but tremendous challenges that they have met in their infrastructure with their airports. I also want to say in Thailand, people were extremely nice with the president of the Metropolitan Council, and some of these bodies are city-states where there's a governing mayor who oversees, but he's called the governor, and then there's a council, the Metropolitan Council. We had a hike for health in the park with over 60 students from local schools to promote good health and hiking. We did do an exchange of books for their public library on Los Angeles books and history, which is so important. Gave them a couple of CDs of rock and roll, LA rock and roll, from Chuck Berry to the Doors and Arlo Guthrie and everyone there. It was a good cultural exchange. But tourism is so key to us. And I know I'm a little long right now, Mr. President. I know the head of the Central City Association is here and not listening, but we need to do more on tourism, which is so key for this, to help promote the exchange. Chansey Marial from the Thai community came as well. The Thai consulate came to that part of the program. We were 5 days there and visited a number of the locations, including in Bangkok, the zoo. And the elephants were out, and they're building a new exhibit there, but it's coming back. This was funded by myself and the Sister City program, which is a not-for-profit outside City Hall, which we thank Avak Katalian of the CLA's office, who's on the board of that. So it was very good to do, and to come back is always good. But people do love Los Angeles and California, and as I told the mayor-elect, it's important that we promote California. And when they do come to California, that they do visit the Grand Canyon, that they do come back through Death Valley, Yosemite, San Francisco, and the coast, and fly home from the new Tom Bradley wing that's there. So, Mr. President, thank you for this opportunity that you gave me to articulate this report, and we'll do follow-up work on the nonstop issue with LAX and the FAA for Indonesian Air, as well as the sister port with Mr. Buscaino and the Port of Los Angeles. And also CalArts, which was an institute which Walt Disney, when he passed, they developed CalArts out in the Santa Clarita. A representative of the dean was there, the dean was, and they have an exchange between the Indonesian Art School. So it's all working out well that we can do that. We're working with our cultural affairs. I thank you. I say, Kampung Kap.
Thank you, Mr. Labans. Thank you. Okay, with that said, Madam Clerk, I believe we have a quorum. Could you please call the roll?
Alarcon, Buscaino, Englander, Garcetti, Wizark, Crestor, Coin, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Zine, Westing. 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Labange moves, Krikorian seconds. Next.
Is for approval.
Okay, Koretz moves, Garcetti seconds. Next.
Mr. President, today is Tuesday, and now would be the time for the flag salute.
Okay, if I could ask everyone to please rise for our flag salute, be led today by Mr. Ed Reyes.
Thank you, Council President, for the privilege. Everybody put your right hand over your heart. Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So Jakarta, Indonesia, which is past the equator.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reyes. Madam Clerk, why don't we walk our way through today's agenda?
Item number 1 is the mayor's veto message. At this time, nothing has been received from the mayor and no action is required.
So we do not have to take action on this?
No.
Okay, so let's move on to the next.
Items 2 and 3 are items noticed for public hearing. The Department of Building and Safety reports that items 2A and D may be received and filed inasmuch as the liens have been paid.
Okay, without objection on those items, that'll be the order.
Also, there's a request to continue items 2J and N to June 18th.
Okay, without objection. Do we have cards?
Yes, cards on the remaining items of number 2.
And what about 3?
For item 3, an amending motion is forthcoming if you wish to hold that on the desk.
Okay, so let's hold 3 and let's deal with what's remaining on item 2.
For item 2, the remaining items have cards.
All of them?
Yes.
Okay, then I misunderstood what you said. Let's move to the next section.
Items 4 through 10 are items for which public hearings have been held. There was a request to continue items 6 and 8 to June 7th.
Without objection. Specials members? For Ms. Perry, item 9.
Yes.
Let's, Mr. Koretz.
Could I just ask that number 6, that I just be reflected as a no vote?
Well, didn't we continue? Was that one of the items we continued, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I missed
so
that.
we will not be voting on that today. So let's prepare to vote on the remaining items. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, next section.
Items 11 through 22 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Okay, without objection, those items are now before us. Cards.
Cards on items 12, 14, 15, and 16.
Okay, let's hold those items. Members? Okay, let's prepare to vote on these. Oh, no, we have cards. No, we can vote on the remaining items.
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay, so let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
And for the ordinance item 11, that item will be held over for 1 week unless reconsidered with 12 members.
Okay. Then let's move on.
On the continuation agenda, item 23 is an item for which public hearing has not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
There's a request that be held, and that request will be granted. So does this take us back to the beginning of the agenda?
Yes, Mr. President. Takes council to items called special.
Okay, let's begin with the first item, which is 2, is it?
Yes.
Okay. I do have cards on 2. I've got Sean Murphy, Miguel Sayi, and I could have mispronounced that, so I apologize, and John Walsh on item 2.
Good morning, Mr. President. Item 2 is a lean agenda. I forgot to mark I am against it.
Next.
I'm Miguel Aya. I received a notice on the door about 3 weeks ago, regarding this lien. I had been back and forth with the Department of Building and Safety regarding a renovation we were doing. For whatever reason, I had paid all my fines and tried to have everything organized, but at some point along the line, there was a fine that seemed to have fallen through the cracks, and this is the first that I had heard about said fine. So I wrote a letter as I was instructed to in protest, and I was told a week ago that hadn't been received. So that's pretty much where the situation is. Okay.
Okay. John Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Go there. See, we predicted that Garcetti would be the winner 4 years ago. HollywoodHighlands.org or jwalsh.wordpress.com. Number 2, I'd just like to say that Garcetti is just watching me afraid. He's just sitting there quiet. HollywoodHighlands.org. Number 2, vote yes. This is an order, and do it unanimously. You understand? They do everything I say. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Okay. I believe that covers all the public comment cards in item 2. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay. Next item.
Item 9, called special by Councilmember Perry.
Ms. Perry, you do have 2 cards.
Yeah,
Would
let
you
them speak first.
Let them speak first. Oh, public hearing was already held. Okay. Councilor Perry, public hearing was already held. Do you still want to open it?
We do. Yeah.
Okay. We do have Sean and Efren Escobedo.
Yes, good morning. Item 9 is an item I support. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. President, honorable members of the council. My name is Efrain Escobedo, and I'm with the LA County Registrar Recorder County Clerk's Office here in support of item number 9 and want to, in support of legislation SB 360, which is a bill currently that has now moved into the Assembly, which calls to reform the way that California approves voting systems in the state. The bill would allow the Secretary of State to certify voting systems and therefore bring much needed modernization to the state. LA County is currently dealing with an outvoted and outmoded voting system, as is LA City. And working together, we hope that this legislation will allow for us to have more modernized voting systems. There have been no new voting systems certified in California since 2007, and the voting systems that are currently in place do not allow for greater participation through voting methods such as early voting or vote centers. Therefore, we thank Councilwoman Perry for her leadership and ask you to support this item in support of SB 360. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes all public comment cards. Councilman Perry, the floor is yours.
Hold on just a second. I just got to pull my notes out. I introduced this motion a while ago as a way for Los Angeles to support the development of a voting system that better fits our city's needs. Just as evidenced very recently, voter participation in local elections continues to be a challenge. Part of the difficulty lies in the fact that we have to go through a very arduous process to certify our local voting system. Now, with the passage of Senate Bill 360, the county would face far less barriers in the state certification process if and when it decided to create its own system. And in fact, the county is currently developing its own voting system, and the use of such a publicly owned and developed voting system would increase transparency in elections. This legislation would streamline this process to get the system approved and adopted. We rely on the county for voting equipment. This will be a step in the right direction to increase voter engagement, input, and hopefully turnout. SB 360 will allow counties to develop and own voting systems and will allow the California Secretary of State to approve a county-developed system. This legislation calls for a state certification process where the Secretary of State is responsible for certification or conditional approval of voting systems used in the state. No new voting systems have been approved in California since 2007. County voting systems in our state are aging rapidly, and the process for approving voting systems is doing little to help approve new innovative systems or spur new approaches to voting system development. SB 360 will support our efforts to increase voter turnout, as it would allow us to develop a voting system that responds to not only a geographically large, but a very large, diverse electorate. The existing laws tend to inhibit the development or approval of more transparent and, of course, auditable voting systems. So the CLA report recommends that the city support Senate Bill 360. The CLA, in conjunction with the city clerk's office and community-based voter outreach organization, see this as a means of supporting and growing voter participation. So I hope as we move forward in replacing our outdated voting system that we can support this and other voter engagement efforts. So I hope that all of my colleagues will support this resolution today.
Thank you. Councilman Krikorian on the queue.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you, Ms. Perry, for bringing this important bill before us. This is similar to legislation that I introduced when I was in the legislature. And members, this is extremely important as we move increasingly throughout this country to electronic systems of voting, touchscreen voting, and so on. It's extremely important that the machinery through which people are voting are not provided through monopolies that are very often proprietary systems so that we can't understand exactly the functioning of the system. It's not public. It's held tightly to the vest by Diebold and these other vendors of these machines. To have local certification at the county level gives us the opportunity to create the kind of transparency and competition that will allow greater confidence in the results of our voting systems. So I thank Ms. Perry and I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Councilmember. So you know what's on the queue. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, that moves on. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 14, call special for cards.
We have Sean on item 14.
Yes, good morning again. Item 14 is a public safety item. This item has been on the agenda for a number of years. 2009 to 2011. This item is a good item.
Thank you, Sean. See no one else for public comment card, and no one else on the queue. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Next item, Madam Clerk.
Mr. President, now that there's 12 members, do you wish to reconsider the ordinance item 11?
Yes, please.
Council should first vote on reconsideration.
Okay, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
And now Council should vote on the item.
Okay, it's now before us. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay.
Next item is item 15, call special for cards.
Okay, John Walsh, item 15.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Number 15. Here is a question I have been asking. This concerns the audit. Remember who the auditor, who does those audits? That blonde lady. What happened to her? She's upstairs packing. Communications from the controller relative to a report audit of the CAO's office. And there's some very disturbing issues in there, but you're just going to give it 14-0 or 8-0. Eric is just staring at his crotch for some reason.
Sir, stay focused on the item.
I'm telling you, the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. Okay. Here is the question I have been asking all the reporters. They're on their siesta in there, their white boy siesta. What is the effect of the sequester on the city of Los Angeles? If the answer is no, you'll be the only city in California to say no. But you won't say it, and the reporters, all wearing the Lewinsky knee pads up there, won't even ask you, and they certainly won't ask Acting Mayor Garcetti. He's called Acting Mayor Garcetti because all he is an actor.
Sir,
HollywoodHighlands.org.
Stay focused on the item, for God's sake. Okay. See no one else? Public comment? No one on the queue. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Next item.
Next item, item 16, call special for cards.
Okay, Sean and John Walsh.
Yeah, item 16. It's a good item. Support it.
Thank you. Next item. Next speaker.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. My predecessor goes on and on. He doesn't talk about the subject. Number 16, okay, this is a condition of all city. This concerns the controller's report. Remember her, Wendy, blonde lady? Entitled Condition of All City Funds in the City Treasury and Review of Cash and Investments. Note and file. I can think of about 1,000 questions. I'm sure the dead-butted press could come up with hundreds of others. The mayor is sitting here, the mayor elect, not erect, never erect, HollywoodHighlands.org. You are just going to take this audit report that has serious questions about the budget, and you're just going to stamp it, file, and forget. That's what they're doing here to everything that Wendy Gruhl did. You might as well bury her.
Mr. Walsh, stay focused on the item, please.
I'm telling you that I can't wait till you leave in another 3 weeks.
I can't wait till you.
HollywoodHighlands.org. I just want everybody out there watching to realize that all these audits that Wendy Gruhl wrote are being put in a bonfire, and none of the questions she asked will be answered because we have a new royalty here, Prince Eric of
Stay
Brentwood.
focused again on the item. Okay. No one else on the queue. No public comment cards. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you.
Next item, item 23, call special by Mr. Garcetti.
We do have one comment card, Councilor Garcetti, on item 23. Did you call this special?
I think we're still waiting on an amendment. We're waiting on a substitute motion.
Wait on a substitute motion. Let's move to general public comment at this time. Councilmember Koretz.
For Mr. Weezer, I'd like to ask that we reconsider 2R and continue it until July 23rd.
So let's reconsider 2R. Madam Clerk, you have to open the vote on that?
Yes, council should first vote on reconsideration.
Okay, let's open the roll on reconsideration. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay. And you want that continued?
It was requested that it be continued until July 23rd.
Okay. So let's vote on the continuance. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay. At this time, we will go into public comment as we get ready for the amendment. Connie Wells, are you here? Would like to come on up? Connie Wells, this is on public comment, items that are not on the agenda. And Maria A. Barajas. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Good morning, council members. Mr. President, my name is Connie Wells, the Assistant Manager of World on Wheels Roller Skating Rink, located in the Midtown Shopping Center. Last Thursday, I learned the company and the property owner were unable to reach a lease agreement that I, along with my colleagues, would no longer be employed. The fact that I would be unemployed would hurt me, but not nearly as much as the burden of informing children, families, and our community that the doors would be shut on June 23rd. World on Wheels, a safe haven for children, preteens, teens, and young adults in the city of Los Angeles, would no longer have an affordable source of recreation or social outlet. On weekends and holidays, you can find our facility packed with faces of children and their parents, grandparents, and other extended family members who gather for good, clean, wholesome fun. World on Wheels is more than just putting on a song and rolling around in a circle. World on Wheels provides health benefits such as curbing obesity, hypertension, high cholesterol, diabetes, and depression. World on Wheels provides a place for people such as schools, the Explorers, faith-based organizations, substance abuse outreach programs, anti-gang organizations, mentally and or physically challenged, day camps, sport camps, Girl Scouts, football teams, basketball teams, alumni associations, fraternities, sororities, senior citizens organizations, chess clubs, and many more. World on Wheels, along with Midtown Lanes, was the location for the meeting place of two historically rival gangs, Crips and Bloods, where the truce actually began. Yes, World on Wheels has helped children avoid gang activity, substance abuse, teen pregnancy, and jail. Can I keep going?
Can you please finish?
It is a zone of respect and tolerance. Our customers are from various socioeconomic backgrounds. They come from the 1st District through the 15th District. They're white, they're black, Latino, Jewish, Ethiopian, Russian, heterosexual,
Ma'am, I need
homosexual.
you to really finish. Thank you.
I'm getting there.
No, ma'am, we need time allotted to everyone equally, and I need you to finish.
Okay. Today I humbly come before you asking for intervention to assist in the resolution of the issue between AMF, World on Wheels, Midtown Lanes, and the Young Management Associates.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate your hard work. Maria Barajas. Maria Barajas.
Good morning, people.
Sir, I'm asking for Maria Barajas.
Mi nombre es María Barojas y vengo a este lugar porque estoy pidiendo que por favor hagan algo para que no se cierre bowling alley.
Un momento para traducir, por favor.
My name is Maria Barajas and I am coming here to request
que si pueden mantener bowling alley open porque yo trabajo aquí desde 18 years. Maria's Café.
If you can keep Maria's Café open because I've been working there for a long time.
Yo llegué a ese lugar hace 18 años.
I arrived to that place 18 years ago.
Tengo mi familia todos trabajando juntos con la comunidad.
Yeah, all my family is working together with the community.
Nosotros nos encontramos dentro de bowling alley.
We are within the bowling alley.
Y dependemos de ellos.
And we depend from them.
Y mis clientes dependen de mí,
and
especialmente.
My clients depend on me, especially.
The old people, the senior citizens.
Senior citizens and all kinds of people.
Sometimes the people they need help to prepare the food because they don't have wash hand or something like that. And my daughters bring help, the waitress, they bring help for them because sometimes the people don't have family, no have bodies for them. So we take care of them. I have one people, he was veteran people, he don't have a family. And I take him, sometimes he call me, give me a food something, my daughters or my husband or me, I bring him. And a lot of people more, not just him. And he passed away, very sad. He was my family too. My customers are my family. I love my courses, they love me. I'm so sad because too many kids love my family. And my family too love them. It's very important for me because all my life is in United States. My husband worked very hard for wake up this business. So I'm so sad because I'm sorry.
Gracias, señora. Gracias. Thank you. Okay, Moira Griffin. Moira Griffin.
I'm sorry.
Ya terminamos, señora. Gracias. Gracias por su participación. La próxima persona es Moira Griffin.
Hello, my name is Moria. I'm also talking on behalf of Maria's Cafe. I'm also a customer there. But for me, there can't be successful development and urban planning without community. And I'm here to defend the community created by a partnership between big business and small business. The big business is AMF that actually owns the space or was renting out the space, and Maria's, which is actually a small business. You also have the roller skating rink and also the bowling alley. And it's a really sad time today when we have a developer who's come in, who's bought the space now and is kicking people out. And has basically said, if you want to rent from me, your rents are going to go up by 200 to 300%. And it is really unfortunate that we've decided that the community that's been created there, where you have young people who have a space, where you have senior citizens who actually have a space, not only of gathering, but Maria's actually talking about a restaurant where when there's somebody who is elderly and who needs food and they can't make it to the restaurant, she actually goes there and brings them food. And it's really unfortunate that we have a time right now in Los Angeles where where money means more than anything else, and money for that developer. If you think about the fact that we actually have a large business, a corporation, AMF, that was actually supporting the community. And I think that's something that, unfortunately, we're not really seeing anymore. Every day I encounter groups at Maria's who are open and friendly and really just support each other. And I think to lose a space like this in a community like this is truly unfortunate. And the fact that everybody actually really just found this out on Friday, and now you're here on Tuesday, and this is just a very small fraction of the people who have come out. There's petitions for at least 100 people who really support this space. So that's sort of all I have to say. We're asking for you guys to help us talk to the developer. People basically, they just want the opportunity to rent the space at a fair price. Nobody's asking to be given anything. They really just want the opportunity to negotiate fairly.
Thank you, ma'am. Yolanda Jane Price. Yolanda Jane Price.
Hi. I'm a regular at World on Wheels, so I'm a customer. I've been there for 2 years, but I know this place has been around for a lot longer. This place is way more than just a roller skating rink, a bowling alley, and a cafe, restaurant. This place is a community center. And people gather together, they are social, there are families, there are teenagers. I know I'm touching on the same things that Connie raised, but to me this is so important. This is about the people that live there, the hard-working people that live, work, spend taxpayers' money, and this is about the actual Los Angelian people, and getting rid of this rink would be devastating to the community. So I just want to appeal to people's better nature about this. There's so many stores and condominiums and there's so much building and progress going on. This place is really sacred, and I feel like getting rid of it would be truly devastating. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before our next speaker, we have a special introduction by Councilor Bill Rosendahl.
Yes, the kids from Wildwood and Mar Vista, stand up so the cameras can get you. This is democracy at its best. The young folks are coming from Mar Vista to see how government works. We hope you have an enjoyable trip. It's a beautiful building we're in. Wave to everybody in Mar Vista. Wildwood. Great, 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 great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Matthew Owens, our next speaker, Matthew Owens.
Good morning. I'd like to add to the comments that have been made here today regarding the closure of the AMF Midtown facility. Very often when these things are brought up and we find out about them, the social impact is the primary means that most of the public come to you. But I've done some research myself, and there's actually a financial impact to the city of the closure of this facility. Every year, AMF Midtown hosts several regional, state, and national week-long bowling tournaments and skating parties. These events drive tens of thousands of club members and individuals from all over the United States into Los Angeles, generating millions of dollars in public and private coffers annually throughout the city. People fly in and out of our airport. They rent our businesses and cars. They stay in our hotels and motels. They eat. They tour. They buy gasoline, clothes, and souvenirs. From a social standpoint, yeah, there is absolutely an impact. AMF Midtown functions as a safety valve for thousands of teens and adults, young and old, to let off steam, very probably distracting them from other less savory activities. I am requesting your immediate assistance to contact the property owners and AMF, express your concern over the planned closure, express your concern, inform them of the facility's value to the community, the advantages and benefits of keeping it open, and the financial and social impact of closing it. This request is reasonable. I pray that the council will act on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori Williams. Lori Williams. Please come to the microphone. Lori Williams. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Connie pretty much spoke to a lot of things I was going to speak to, so I'm going to speak for myself. I am 52 years old. I have been skating at World on Wheels for 10 years. I want each of you to think, how many places can you go where you have an 18-year-old, a 25-year-old, a 30-year-old, a 52-year-old, and there's more of us skating all at the same time. We get there 3 times a week. We get there from 8 o'clock, we skate till 1 o'clock in the morning. We have no alcohol. How can you say that between 15 and 25-year-olds that you know your kids are safe? Where can you go where you know your kids are not dealing with sex? Where can you go where you know your kids are not going to get hit by a drive-by? World on Wheels is that place. It is a place of diversity. It is the place of a community. We are here. I came to World on Wheels for stress. I never left that place. In that place, I may not know your name, but I know your face. When I'm leaving there, if you do not have a ride, I do not leave till every child is picked up. It's not just a place where people go around like a hamster. It is a place where people are saving lives. It saved my life. I was at the end of my rope, and there are many of us who skate there. I skate there with these kids every Sunday night. I may not know their names, but I know their face. If I see them on the street, I can say, hey, skater, it's a community. It's a world that's an underworld that you know nothing about. But this is from California all the way over to the East Coast. There's a gentleman here from Chicago. The first thing I bet you he did when he hit this city is, where's the roller rink? That's the first thing you do. When I go to Atlanta, when I go to Baltimore, when I go to Oklahoma, I put my luggage in the plane, but my skates are on my back because I'm a skater. So what I'm saying to you is, look at this as not just a roller rink where people go around in a circle. This is a place where we need to have.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, let me explain to you what's going to happen next where it relates to general public comment. Mr. City Attorney, if I misspeak, then correct me, because it's difficult to have a direct conversation about something that's not on the council agenda, and this is not. We generally do public comment at the end, okay, but we knew that you were here and many of you were waiting. So what I'm going to do is call one more person for now. We will suspend general public comment until a little later today, so you're welcome to stay. And again, like I said, we just kind of got off of the program. And Mr. City Attorney, this is when you need to pay attention to what I say. This situation was brought to my attention towards the latter part of last week. I am the individual that is blessed to represent that area. I eat at Maria's Cafe on a regular basis. For as long as I can remember, the bowling alley has been there, and World on Wheels has had a pretty long life as well. There are some things that are going on that are just kind of unique with this situation, where it relates to a possible or maybe already filed Chapter 11, which limits what we can do, and I'm sure you understand that. But my office is engaged, and we will do everything that we can to try to come up with a creative way so that in this case, sometimes change needs to come. In this case, I kind of like it the way that it is. So I don't have the power or authority, and that city attorney is looking at me shooting daggers. So anyway, I will do what I can. I have Deron Williams, who's my chief of staff. He will go back, and maybe, Deron, you can chat with them at the back of the chambers. And to Maria, I always get a turkey on wheat, okay? That's my favorite thing there. So speak to Deron. If some of you want to stay, and I'll get to you later. Okay, the last speaker this round is Anna Elkins.
First, I'd like to start off by saying good morning and greetings to all. My name is Anna Elkins, and I stand here today on behalf of all unspoken voices, many generations of families, friends, churches, and organizations, and not to ever forget our near and far communities. That World on Wheels roller skating rink has served for many years now, which includes myself, having 28 out of 34 years and 4 generations of my own that we all call home. A place to where no matter what's going on the outside, once stepping into our home, all is forgotten as we bond in a togetherness. I have a special bond, a dear bond with World on Wheels, and many loved memories as a child and now as an adult. I've never stepped foot into any other rink. I have now had the great honor of becoming an employee of AMF World on Wheels in the past year now, as I work 2 other jobs, having a total of 3 employers. But while serving on the duty line for AMF World on Wheels in the community with a smile, I've grown much stronger bonds in my life story and with all of the customers, all of the many lives that have come to share a piece of their world with us, especially our children. Our children. Having an extended family and host of friends, building and taking part in group relations, becoming one, being nurtured while having exercise fun at the same time. It means so much to them as they mean so much to us. Having a place like World on Wheels has many of them from going in an opposite direction, right into harm's way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, anyway, like I said, if you guys would like, you can go into the back and speak with Mr. Williams. Mr. City Attorney, you had something you wanted to say?
Just to follow up your comments, Mr. President, under the Brown Act, this matter was not on the agenda, and that is why Council cannot only have a brief response to it and cannot take action on it.
So I was a little longer than brief is what you're diplomatically telling me. Okay, with that said, now, is item 23 a special meeting, or do we have to recess the regular meeting? We don't. Okay, so now on item 23, we have a card, two cards, one from one from John Walsh, and the other one, oh, Mr. Walsh is already out of time? Okay, Mr. Arnold Sachs. Well, John, let me sort this out. Okay, Arnold, while I'm trying to see what's happening with the timer, please come forward.
Well, thank you. Good morning. Arnold Sachs. What's interesting to hear the city attorney's definition about the Brown Act and things that are on the agenda. This is an item on the agenda, so this is an item that could be discussed. AB 1290 funds. $1 million for AB 1290 funds. Another one of those sources of revenue not part of the city's budget. Can we have a discussion about that today, Mr. City Attorney? It's on the agenda. Don't you think they should answer questions about questions that are on the agenda, Mr. City Attorney? Thank you for your opinion, Mr. City Attorney. But again, I believe last year the now outgoing controller did an audit about AB 1290 funds. And somewhere or other, the figure of $44 million in AB 1290 funds came up. That's why it's so important. And here, this is for summer jobs. So $1 million for summer jobs, $4 million for year-round jobs. Doesn't each, now I know not all council districts have AB 1290, well, before it used to be part of the money that came back from redevelopment funds. But now there's no more redevelopment, but the state legislature kept AB 1290 funds available. So does that mean each pot got smaller, but each council district now has AB 1290 funds? Mr. City Attorney, nobody seems to want to answer. Maybe you can answer these questions, Mr. City Attorney. It is on the agenda, and you did mention that according to the Brown Act, items not on the agenda cannot be discussed. Items on the agenda could be discussed. Doesn't seem to want to be a discussion today about AB 1290 fund. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Friday, who knows. Sometime, somebody will get it.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Walsh, on item 2, you spoke for a minute. Item 15, you spoke for 2 minutes. I think item 16, you spoke for 2 minutes. And this is not a special meeting. It is a continuation. So that's why you are forfeit your time. Mr. Garcetti, did you want, or do you just want us to vote, or?
It's been circulated. We can vote on it.
Okay, so now no more speakers. Let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Mr. Weezer? Mr. Weezer wanted to reconsider. Do you know what items or where? Well, why don't we just move on to the next item until we, Mr. Weezer comes right back. Okay, where's Mr. Reyes? Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to, I first want to recognize we have Council Member-elect Gil Cedillo is with us here today. He's in the back. Give him a round of applause. We're going to take up item 12, and Mr. Reyes, Mr. Koretz.
Yes, I wonder if I could ask that items that were heard on Friday, 11-0238, 13-0641, and 13-0655 could go forthwith.
I will have the city attorney respond to that, or the clerk, whoever wants to.
Or if necessary, if we can move to reconsider them and then have them go forthwith after we've reconsidered them and revoted.
Madam Clerk, where are these items at in the pipeline? I mean, the vote was Friday. It's 3 or 4 days later. When will it be scheduled to arrive on the mayor's desk?
Mr. President, if these items are reconsidered today, as which is allowed, and goes forthwith, they will.
No, if we do not reconsider it.
If you do not reconsider these items.
When will it be on the mayor's desk?
If council does not reconsider these items today, they will go to the mayor on Friday if they go forthwith.
Okay, so before we begin item 12, let's, Mr. Koretz, restate the items. We'll reconsider them.
These are items 11-0238, 13-0641, and 13-0655, and they're all related to bids.
Okay. So this first vote is on reconsideration. No, Mr. City Attorney?
If I could add a little bit more information to those. There are items 12, 13, and 14 from last Friday's special agenda. They're the Westwood Business Improvement District matter, the Fashion District Business Improvement District matter, and the Historic Downtown Los Angeles Business Improvement District matter.
Okay, thank you. So anyway, let's just, this first vote is on reconsideration. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, now let's actually vote on the items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Forthwith on those items. Okay. Now we're going to move to item 12. Mr. Reyes, it's my understanding that it is your desire that we do the public hearing or the public comment cards first, and then we will send it to you.
Yes, please.
Okay, so we want to start off with Council Member-elect Gilbert Cedillo, Alicia Smith, and I'm sorry, Marion maybe, and I cannot pronounce the last name. I think it begins with an M.
Leadership, I'm trying to keep in the city.
Mr. Cedillo.
Good morning, each and every one of you. I come here with great reluctance, but with an incredible sense of duty. Let me ask the question. I think the question before us is why the urgency, why we must move this now. I say to you, Mr. Councilman, if this is a good deal for the district and the people of the 1st District, then it'll be a good deal in 30 days. I say that to you, that if this is a good deal today, it will be a good deal in 30 days. Let me say that this is a community, as you well know, that is park poor. That you have created a career based on advocating for park space and green space in our community. And if this is the case, then I ask that you defer 30 days so that we can evaluate this in totality, so that the community and the people who believe that they have been promised an opportunity to have input, the school district and the members of the Glassell community can have input to this deal, that you defer this. I look to you for your leadership on this matter. The community must have an opportunity to have its input, and promises must be kept. I would suggest to you that this cannot be a matter of politics before the people. That this cannot be, as some suggest, a matter in which contributions are made in the urgency of a campaign that somehow compel you today, after years of acrimony with this very important businessman in our community, to push forward in the final days of your tenure a deal which would not be a deal you
We will
would like
afford
to
you
look back
another
to.
minute, which is what the courtesy that occurs to every member seated around this horseshoe. So continue.
Mr. President, it is with great reluctance that I am here before you. But I ask you that you consider the interests, the hopes, and the aspirations of those in the community that have a desire to have input in this matter. I am not here to judge or get behind the value of this deal. I am simply here to say why the urgency. That if there is the quality and the substance of this proposal to meet a resolution both for a significant and important local business member and for the community, that if that is the case today, it will continue to be the case in the next 30 days, in which then the representative of this community, the one who will be the representative for the next 4 years, can have a full opportunity to have full input from the community with full transparency and not driven or motivated by politics, but to put the people first. I ask for deference in this matter. I thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, do I have Ms. Smith and Marion?
Miriam Magana.
Okay, let's give her time. Go right ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Elisa Smith. I'm currently serving as the president of the Glassell Park Improvement Association. I've been a community organizer and activist in Glassell Park since 2001. Served on the neighborhood council before it was established. We established the Youth and Education Committee, started community organizing to get our new high school on San Fernando Road. That has been the first new high school in over 40 years for Northeast LA. With Miriam Magana, we've been working hard for our community. And this story actually started back in '05 when we knew the school was coming and we asked our council person to just leave this parcel alone. It was under construction as part of the sewer interceptor line. And we said when it's done and the school is open, we're going to have increased pedestrian, students, traffic, everything was going to be more of a more. So please, could we just leave it alone and then work with LAUSD to figure out how to use that parcel best. I brought a package of information for you because in this actual motion, I hope there's enough evidence for good cause for you to vote against it or postpone it, whichever you feel fit. The first bit of misinformation is that the parcel's been vacant for an extended period of time. That's not true. It's circled right at the top. This is an old Google map. Old image, satellite image. The school's been open for 2 years, so the parcels have been occupied for quite a while. Next, there's photographs where you can see that the car dealership actually extends all the way down to the school entrance past the billboard location. So it's this whole triangle in the map. As the Glassell Park Improvement Association, we heard that this was happening, and we issued 2 PRAs.
Thank you. Next speaker. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Miriam Magana. I'm opposed this build in our community. I work with the community for almost 25 years. I live in my community for 35 years. I'm also very involved, like Alisa said, in many of the projects, including our new high school. My concern is the safety of the students. I always advocate for our students. I think our students need that. They need to be secure. This parcel that we are in question, it can be benefited in a good manner for our safety and the traffic around the San Fernando area. I ask you and I please reconsider that and just revise all the paper and oppose to this. Thank you.
I think it's O'Nick, Mehrabian, Brian Kelly, and I have a card with no name on it. It just says City Council, LA.
Good morning, President. My name is O'Nick Mehrabian. I'm a businessman at the same neighborhood for over 30 years, maybe 34. I have operated a Kia dealership since 1997, and we have currently one of the largest Kia dealers in the United States. I always try to be a good neighbor, which I am. I'm going to continue to do the same thing. While other businesses were forced to lay off employees or even downsize the employees, I proudly say that we have added over 20 employees since 2008. Now I have 134 employees with over $1 million overhead amount. I want the Kia dealership to continue to expand, continue to remain successful. I want to add a good paying job to my payroll people at the Northeast Station in the next 20 years. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, the next speaker, Brian Kelly.
So I'm a local business owner. I've known Mr. Mehrabian for a number of years. I couldn't even begin to recount the various benefits that he's brought to the community, the tremendous charitable benefit that he provides to the larger community. He has been at that location for a long time. As he mentioned, he employs 134 people at that location, many of which are entry-level employees. It's a wonderful source of employment. It's a wonderful source of income for the local area. I've got to tell you, as a business leader and owner, I'm concerned when I hear comments like Mr. Cedillo's talking about, well, what's another 30 days? Just give us 30 days to review this matter. What could that hurt? Well, my understanding is this discussion about this site has been going on for nearly 7 years. And, you know, when the city wonders why the economy is not growing, employment is not increasing, businesses are leaving town, it's precisely because of this kind of nonsense. We're talking 7,700 feet of usage here, and a site that has been an eyesore to the city for a number of years. This will provide landscaping, will clean up the site, will provide better access and safer access for the high school students. Thank you.
Okay, Andrew Montaleix, and Luis Art Carrillo.
Would you mind if Art went before I did?
However you want to do it. Where's Art? Come on, Art. Hustle up here now.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Good morning. My name is Art Cameron, and I have been a resident of Glassell Park since 1965. I'm also a member of the Glassell Park Neighborhood Council and a member of the Planning Committee. The reason I'm here is to ask you to approve the item. The delay, I don't know if it's necessary, because Glendale Kia has been an outstanding partner to Glassell Park. Not only do they the sale will bring needed revenue to the city, but it will provide us a green space. It will mostly remove that billboard that everybody's been asking to be gone, and widen the sidewalk by a building that is owned by Kia that is very narrow, that will improve safety, and we keep pushing that back and back. I believe it probably will hire additional workers, but he has been a strong supporter of the two main events that we have in the city, in the community. The Veterans Parade, and also the Peace on the Northeast. Matter of fact, he also hires sometimes some of the young adults that are at risk. He gives them not only a job, but he gives them training to be able to move up. He also, maybe about 8 or 10 businesses depend on his business because they do body work, gasoline, purchase gasoline, repair shops and stuff. So I really urge you guys. Oh, he also helps the youth groups like the Anahuac Soccer Club, local schools. He helps everybody. So I really urge you to look at this. If you feel it's necessary to delay it, but I don't think it is. I think they should have looked at that of their contribution. Also, the entrance to the high school from where this property is not right next door. It's about 500 to 600 feet away from it. Thank you very much.
Okay, Andrew.
Good morning, Andrew Montalegre. I'm the chair of the Land Use Committee of the Glassell Park Neighborhood Council, and I also speak for the chair of the Neighborhood Council, Ruby De Vera. I'm also a member of the Glassell Park Improvement Association, have been for 25 plus years, and have been in the community for many long time. I heard Mr. Cedillo speak, and I appreciate his concern. And before Mr. Cedillo spoke, I spoke to Mr. Mehrabian about promises that he's making to the community. And he is promising a lot of benefits to the community, to remove the billboard, to widen sidewalks that make it more accessible, that are not on this property, that are on other sections of the property. So he's giving back. He's talking. And I'd like to acknowledge that and acknowledge how flexible and how he's willing to landscape and beautify the community. And if Mr. Cedillo and the council want to work, I had it from his own mouth a few minutes ago that Mr. Anik Mehrabian is willing to promise these give backs to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with that said, Mr. Reyes, are you ready to bring this up?
Yes. Thank you, Council President. I'd like to have the staff come to the table, please. The staff, General Services. Colleagues, I will stand on my integrity, and I will stand against anyone in this room when it comes to my integrity. This is not about politics. This is about a process that speaks to public safety for our kids in a local high school. Sotomayor is adjacent. My son attends that school. He's in 11th grade. So safety is very important. We have a whole series of issues here that I need to hopefully digest. Can you speak to the process and how long this has been and when we initiated and how many steps we went through to get to this point?
My name is Dave Roberts. I'm the property manager for General Services. We initially received this request in October of 2011. The process by which we sell property is very streamlined. We never can sell a piece of property in an arbitrary manner. It is through the direct sale or surplus process. When this matter was presented to us, we've gone through all the various steps that are required, and we are now at the tail end of that process, which began in October of 2011.
Well, thank you. Did we take any shortcuts whatsoever?
There are no shortcuts that were taken because each step requires a buy-in from the various departments, from planning to building and safety, geological surveys, and so forth. No steps are overdrawn here.
And the sale of the property, is it based on market value?
We had an appraisal completed, and it was for $427,000 by an independent consultant appraiser.
And part of the process includes taking down a billboard. Is that accurate?
Yes.
So we'll be eliminating a blighting billboard on the property, correct?
That will be correct, yes.
And part of the sale of the property will help offset the revenue generated by this billboard?
Yes.
Okay. When we look at the physical adjustments, we will now have the potential to widen sidewalks to create safe corridors that currently does not exist on the property?
That is correct.
So the design itself will allow for future improvements that creates a footprint that allows this dealership to stay in the city?
Right. A new development will trigger a street widening ordinance, which means that the new developer will have to widen the street per the 2012, 2013, whatever time this property is constructed.
And colleagues, the current property generates close to $3 million, if not more, dollars of tax revenue to the city. It sustains over, I believe, 134 individuals on site as employees. I'm not even counting all the ancillary businesses that are associated with this business that comes to the glass shop, tire shop, and all the other shops affiliated with this business. So there is a tremendous amount of multiplier effect given should this dealership stay. I believe it's close to 10 businesses that are within the immediate area of Glassell Park and Cypress Park. Part of this program does include a green space on quarter of the property that is nearest to the school. That green space will help relieve congestion and enhance safety as the youngsters cross the street. Kia will also fund the expansion of the sidewalk, which is very significant. But just as important is that we've done this in a very transparent way, and we've done it with an understanding that public safety was paramount, that revenue needs to be kept in the city of LA, and we need to send a signal that we are business friendly. So all the negative impacts that have been isolated are being addressed through your support by allowing for a yes vote. And when it comes to politics, there is so much to speak to, but out of respect, I will keep that to myself at this moment. But if compelled, I will share with you much of the political energy that's been around this particular facility that I hope won't be necessary, but I am more than willing to describe. So that being said, I would like your support. This is many years in the process, and this will be benefiting the community and the city for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Alarcon.
Council members, this is a difficult one, not because it has nothing to do with integrity. I believe Mr. Reyes stands on his integrity in terms of his view of how he facilitated this process. I don't even know whether this is a good deal or not. I think it's a good deal in Mr. Reyes' view, and it may not be a good deal in other people's view, as most of the items that come before us have those controversies. What is troubling to me is the proximity of a $20,000 contribution to an independent expenditure campaign and the vote that we are taking so close to that election. And it's not really about what people think about Mr. Reyes. It's about what people think about the city of Los Angeles. Because a skeptical viewer, a cynical viewer, would look at this and say, wait a minute, a $20,000 contribution just before the election and a vote on a property owners to sell city property, that's just hard for them to understand. Now, we could go through the step-by-step process and concur that the process was legitimate. But now that the issue has been raised, I'm concerned about that cynical view. And I have to tell you, I was asked the other day, in my 20 years as an elected official, what is the thing that I dislike most about the process? In fact, Jan Perry and I were talking about it. No, it's not you, Jan. No comment. And what we were talking about was the growth in cynicism of the public. And I think, to look at it one way, how would the public look at this given the proximity of the vote to the contribution? On the other hand, how would the public look at it if the new council member which was targeted by that $20,000 contribution, were then to work on this project and come back with the same conclusion, I think then the public would have a very clear picture that this is a fair process and there was no gamesmanship involved, and that whatever occurred in terms of the campaign was a legitimate action, and whatever occurred in terms of the development is a legitimate action. So I'm not going to vote for this because of the proximity of the contribution and the timing of the vote. And let me say, Mr. Onek has been a supporter of mine. He's done fundraisers for me. And he's, as far as I know, a good businessman who contributes greatly to the community. But given that the councilman-elect has requested that we delay this vote, I think that's a legitimate request, complicated by the contribution. Thank you.
Members. Mr. Alarcon, who's a dear friend, just rose and talked about Mr. Reyes's integrity, which there's probably not a member around this horseshoe would not agree with. So, Richard, in your statement, the second phase, you contradicted what you said the first time. Now, I intend on supporting Mr. Reyes. I told Mr. Cedillo that last week. Reyes has worked on this for 2 years. Every week, members, we are accused of something with little to no accuracy. And I think that if it's a project in the district of a sitting councilman, that we need to be sensitive to that so that in the future people can be sensitive to you. So with that said, Mr. Englander.
I wasn't planning on speaking on this, but I will now. I am appalled of the conversation that just occurred. I have, just to even lead through inference, yet alone directly accusing, which is how I took that speech of Mr. Alarcon, of Mr. Reyes, of any ethical question of his integrity or ethics or moral character at all, is appalling. And forget this elected body for a second. We're thrown under the mud all the time. That's not the issue. I've worked alongside as a chief of staff and now as a council member with Ed Reyes for the last 10 years. In the last 2 years, working on Plum with him, I haven't come across, quite frankly, a lot of elected officials that measure up to the integrity and honesty that Ed brings to every single decision, whether it's his district or not, when it deals with planning and land use issues, and for that matter, any other issue. I'm proud that I've gotten to know and work alongside a man with so much integrity. So that, just that question alone, the fact that it would be brought in, and particularly with him, is wrong. And so on the project itself, I know with certainty that Mr. Reyes has worked to negotiate what's in the best interest of that district for the last couple years. And I too stand to support him in this vote and not politicize this any longer. But I just had to stand and say what was the questions that were raised, the accusations through inference that were made were wrong.
Mr. Labange.
Well, thank you very much. I want to ask General Services, is it a good thing for the city of Los Angeles?
It's a good deal for the city of Los
Angeles. And it's a
Angeles.
good thing for the Glassell Park neighborhood in that situation?
Yes.
And I respect the councilman of the district. I respect the new councilman of the district, but I respect the old councilman because he's here. And he fought hard for his district in many ways and transformed that district. So I would say, members, vote for this because General Services says this is good and it ties it up. We have so many little islands around the city that if we could do many more islands like this, it would improve the neighborhoods and also get revenue for the land that we're not using. So I call for an aye vote. Thank you.
Mr. Reyes to close. Take a deep breath.
I just want to rise and say thank you to my colleagues. I appreciate your vote. There's so much that could have been said that I will need to say. And I think time will tell on the record of each one of us. Thank you.
Okay, with that said, Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes, 1 no.
Okay, that measure passes. Are we ready with item 3?
Yes, Mr. President.
Forthwith on that item? Okay, let's deal with item 3.
An amended motion has been circulated.
Okay, there are no speakers on the queue where it relates to this item, so let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Where does that bring us on today's agenda?
The general public comment.
Okay, if I could ask Mr. Labange to approach the President's chair. We will now continue with general public comment. Mr. Labange, we had a large group of people here from the Midtown area in support of the World on Wheels, the bowling alleys, and Maria Cafe. I think most of them have left. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tom Labange, Assistant President Pro Tem.
Excuse me, Mr. President, just for the record, for item 3, the ordinance will be held over for 1 week for a second reading.
Very good. We have a list of cards here that I want to call for general public comment. Terry Lewis, note that for Mr. Lewis. Mr. Kirk, we note that for Mr. Kirk. Malika Williams, note that for Ms. Williams. Edwin Claus, note that for Mr. Claus. And Antoine McDaniels, note that, please. Michael Carrion. Michael was here earlier. Note that as well, Madam Clerk. John Walsh. Sean Murphy, after Mr. Walsh, Sean. And Arnold Sachs.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Welcome to our party. As you know, we had a 60th birthday party for the mayor right here under public comment with a gigantic cake, all you can eat. Well, we're holding the same thing, same kind of party right here under public comment with a beautiful cake on Friday. This is the rival party to Antonio's final farewell party outside at the Grand Park, where you'll have to pay for anything you eat. Here, everything is on the house. All you can eat cake, and this isn't going to be any crummy cake, because if it's attached to HollywoodHighlands.org, it will be first class. Over there, you get to see Bill Clinton. We have made as our special guest Monica Lewinsky. We're asking her to come back to her home of Beverly Hills and appear at our party here under public comment. Now, you are scheduling 5 special meetings, 1 each for departing members of the City Council. 2 to 3 hours of nauseating self-congratulations. But there's no going away party for Wendy Greuel, who was elected 3 times here and sat in your seat as pro tempore member, a president of the council. This is absolute racism. But then again, people like David Zonheiser and the rest of them despise women. The politicians despise women. Why isn't Wendy Gruhl being given a party just like all of you? And what happened to Frank Cardenas? When he left, well, Mr. Cardenas rather, when Tony Cardenas, when he left here, you gave him no party. HollywoodHighlands.org. Let the partiers begin here Friday.
For the record, they forthwith on item 12. And for the further record, I didn't know you had eyes behind your head, Mr. Walsh. And for the further record, they're regular meetings. Mr. Zanheiser just walked in the room there. So you have great vision. Here we go. Sean Murphy from St. Charles, Toluca Lake, California. Nice shirt, Sean. Here we go.
You missed the Monsignor Gallagher's 40th anniversary a week ago. He's been a priest for 40 years. Speaking of St. Charles, it's getting ready for a complete renovation soon. We need to keep our parks and libraries open, get our streets repaved, and I saw congratulations to Eric Garcetti and a new council member from CD1, Cadillo. And he remembers me from somewhere, but I don't know where. I will be taking a summer hiatus after next Tuesday. Next Tuesday will be my last day. I'm letting my fans know, okay? Try to start the city council meetings on time for the new council members. Try to improve that.
Sean Murphy, have a good holiday. Thank you. Be safe out there. Now, Arnold Sachs from Lenox, California. Mr. Sachs, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Good afternoon. No, good morning. Arnold Sachs. I actually was going to talk about two different items, well, one of two, but then after hearing that boo-hoo-hoo about poor Ed Reyes' integrity, I thought I'd chip in and discuss poor Ed Reyes' integrity. Councilman Englander. You know, poor Ed Reyes had to resign from his position on the Gold Line Foothill Construction Authority so he could be reappointed. A couple of weeks ago when you had budget discussions, I believe Mr. Englander mentioned the cost for the city's charges for SCAG, Southern California Area Governance, that each council member pays. SCAG put out a little flyer that had Mr. Ed Reyes sitting on the Gold Line Foothill Construction Authority 4 years before state legislation created it. That's integrity. That's back to the future. So Mr. Reyes had to resign from a position that hadn't been created by state legislation, only to be reappointed. Somebody mentioned documentation. Here's a document recorded at the County Board of Registration, item number 2007-125-1559, that shows the Gold Line Foothill Construction Authority owning property that was purchased by public funds. Now, Mr. Ed Reyes sits on the Gold Line Construction Authority. Has he looked into it since he's been reappointed? No. Do you remember Penn State? Joe Paterno lost his luster not for what he did, but for what he didn't do. You are Penn State.
Well, Mr. Lennox, or Mr. Sachs from Lenox, thank you for your comment. I don't agree with you, but that's part of the way. That completes the public comment. Madam Clerk, what is before us right now?
Mr. President, a special one resolution has been circulated. The city attorney will speak to the findings.
Mr. City Attorney, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will recite the facts as presented to me by the maker of the motion for the Council's consideration of the adequacy of the findings. Since the posting of today's agenda, the state legislature agendized the local control funding formula before the conference committee, which would occur either this Friday or this Thursday. Immediate action is required for the full council to state its position before the conference committee takes that action. Council must first make findings pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2 before considering the substantive motion.
So, Madam Clerk, let's on the findings. You want to speak to the findings?
Yes,
Mr.
I do.
Krikorian, thank you.
Yeah, members, this is absolutely inappropriate for consideration as a special. The governor made this proposal on May 14th. The council has had plenty of time to consider this in committee and evaluate the very complex and detailed facts that are stated in the motion. It's absolutely inappropriate to consider this as a special one. It should be agendized and fully considered, and considered through our committee process as well. I urge a no vote on the findings.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Krikorian, does anyone want to speak to Mr. Alarcon?
I concur with Mr. Krikorian that normally we go through a process. Unfortunately, this was just noticed and agendized last Friday in the legislature, so we had no way of knowing when it was going to be moved on and become an actionable item. And given the tremendous impact to LAUSD, I think that it certainly meets the criteria. And I would ask the city attorney if we have met the criteria. This is what is new is the, and I would ask if we have ever set a precedent where something that has come before us or was agendized by the legislature, we have ever done a Rule 23 on.
I based my determination on what was represented to me by the city's chief legislative analyst who handles these matters regarding state legislation. And based on what was represented to me, I believe it's met the minimum criteria.
Yeah, I grant you it's not the clearest example, but it does meet the criteria to put it before us, and I do think it is an urgent item that the city ought to weigh in on.
Okay, there's no other speakers on the queue. With that being said, just for explanation, because there's been articulation, Madam Clerk, a yes vote means that we would consider it, a no vote means we wouldn't consider it. Okay?
Yes.
All right, you got that? So open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
4 ayes, 6 noes.
So that means...
Mr. President, that means that the findings have not been approved, and this item will be carried over till tomorrow pursuant to Rule 54.
Very good. Very good. So we'll do that. Any next item, Madam Clerk?
Mr. President, for item 1, council should continue the mayor's veto message till tomorrow, June 5th.
Tomorrow to June 5th, even though we signed it this afternoon. Is that all right?
Yes, Mr. President.
Very good. So we'll do that. So ordered. Next.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
So ordered.
That clears the desk.
Clears. Any announcements, members? No announcement. Let's rise for adjourning motions. All rise for adjourning motions for citizens of the city of Los Angeles. Going to call on Ms. Perry at this time.
Mr. Chair, I would like to adjourn in memory of Hans Hank Pola. Hank was a longtime member of the Los Angeles textile community and worked as a textile sales executive and president of Pola Associates Incorporated for more than 30 years until his retirement in 2004. Before opening his own business in 1982, Hank served as vice president of Wamsutta Mills and as West Coast vice president for Brookhaven Textiles. He was described as one of the most professional fabric representatives in Los Angeles by both friends and colleagues. He made his home near the ocean in Marina del Rey. This was a community he dearly loved. He was an active member of the Tala Board of Directors and the Marina Peninsula Homeowners Association. Hank is survived by his wife, Ilse Metchek Pola, daughter Susan, grandson Spencer, 3 stepdaughters, and 5 step-grandsons. In lieu of flowers, the family requests that donations be made to the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, or FIDM, Scholarship Foundation in Los Angeles in the name of the Hank Pola Textile Scholarship Fund. He will be sincerely missed.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And many of you know when I put on the veteran's hat, like all veterans, we think of each other and our colleagues who have come before us, who are presently serving, and those that will come after us. This is to remember Bill Lansford. Standing with me right here is his wife, who's been with him for many, many, many years, his wife Ruth, and his son William Jr. and Matthew. We're standing here in solidarity to a great American. I was fortunate to get an award from him a few months ago, and he appreciated what I was doing. But he's a World War II vet from the East Side, and he got up and saluted me and gave me an award, and a few months later, he just passed. It's an amazing story, and he died on Wednesday, May 22nd, on the eve of Memorial Day weekend. Can't think of more fitting moment than a holiday that meant so much. He was a decorated military veteran, an accomplished writer, an outstanding advocate for fellow veterans. He was a man who truly led an amazing life. William Douglas Lansford was born in East Los Angeles on July 13th, 1922, as Mr. Weezar knows so well over there, Mr. Reyes knows. The son of Frank Alva Stone, a police officer, and Rosina Melendez, a native of Chihuahua, Mexico. In 1940, Bill joined the Marine Corps and was stationed in Iceland, when Pearl Harbor was attacked. On his return, he joined the newly formed 2nd Marine Raider Battalion under the legendary Colonel Carlson and participated in Midway, Guadalcanal, and Bougainville campaigns. And Iwo Jima of all last. And on Guadalcanal, he was on the long patrol, a 30-day guerrilla march behind enemy lines, where Carlson's raiders successfully decimated far superior Japanese forces while enduring starvation and disease. Later, he landed in Iwo Jima, where he was wounded and received a Purple Heart. In 1945, he was honorably discharged as a sergeant. He later attended college under the GI Bill, then went on to become a reporter for the Los Angeles Daily News. During the Korean War, he was commissioned as a U.S. Army officer when he became a captain, whose duties include being a radio writer with the Armed Forces Radio Service, a public information officer, and a company commander. Upon returning to the U.S., Bill moved to New York, married Long Island native Ruth Ketchum in 1957. Bill then began writing for top magazines such as Collier's, the Saturday Evening Post. He also wrote several nonfiction books, such as the biographies of Jack London and Pancho Villa. His Pancho Villa biography was later adapted into a film, Villa Ride, starring Yul Brynner. Bill later wrote for many TV shows, including Chips, Fantasy Island, Starsky and Hutch, and Star Trek. Most recently, he published several stories in Leatherneck magazine, an article for the Los Angeles Times, and the Fighting Leathernecks, a collection of his previous published stories about famous Marines. His latest book, The Wind and the Ships, a novel, will be published next month. He also appeared in Ken Burns' documentary, The War, as seen on PBS. Lastly, Bill was president of the Eugene A. Obregon Memorial of Honor Foundation, which is dedicated to erecting a monument, El Pueblo, in Los Angeles, to the 40 Latino American Congressional Medal of Honor recipients. The foundation has already put up a wall of honor dedicated to all Medal of Honor recipients at the site in his honor, and may be made into the Obregon Medal of Honor Foundation at www.obregoncmh.org. Bill is survived by his wife Ruth, their 2 sons, William Jr., Matthew, and 1 grandson, Kikoa Lansford of Maui, Hawaii. And may he rest in peace, folks. He was a great American to all of us. We loved him dearly. Thank you very much. And one other final, if I could. Frank Lautenberg. Many of you know that Frank was a dear friend of mine on many levels. We worked together. He passed. He was the oldest member of the United States Senate, a great guy from New Jersey, Frank Lautenberg. May he also rest in peace. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Mr. Koretz.
Well, first I wanted to add a few things about Frank Lautenberg, because He was a champion of a lot of the issues that I care a lot about, whether it was bans on smoking, particularly on domestic airplane flights, raising the drinking age to 21, backing a number of controversial gun control measures. He was always quite unapologetic in championing public safety, especially even in the face of fierce opposition. He was also one of the last New Deal liberals, in fact, probably the last one, and he was on Nixon's enemies list because of his liberal political activism. And I think it's a sad day in the Senate that we lost Frank Lautenberg.
Thank you very much. Members, I'd like to ask we adjourn in memory of the great Deacon Jones. David Deacon Jones, 74 years old, grew up in Florida, went to South Carolina State University, later to Mississippi Valley, which is now Mississippi Valley. There was nobody like Deacon Jones, and as growing up in Los Angeles, we all wanted to be Deacon Jones. No one got off the ball faster than Deacon Jones for the Los Angeles Rams, and coined the phrase sack, was a tremendous impact football player and a great man. I've had a chance to meet him over the years, got down in our stances, Mr. President, and it was great to go head-to-head with Deacon Jones. But he was truly one of the greatest of all football players and a member of the Los Angeles Rams, number 75 in the program, but number 1 in our hearts, survived by his wife, Elizabeth, over 30 years marriage, and also has a stepson, John Pinto. I also will mention, I believe the memorial will be held hopefully at the Peristyle Coliseum for the great David Deacon Jones. Let's all remember him as a great athlete, as a great representative, ambassador of Los Angeles, Secretary of Defense, David Deacon Jones. Thank you. Seeing others, let's go ahead and continue the service of the city of Los Angeles, and every day is a blessing. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.